Head for the park and greet the Mets. Hot dogs, free, that's all I say. Guaranteed to have a heck of a day. Because the Mets are really rocking that ball. Hitting those home runs over the wall. Jersey, Brooklyn, Queens, tell me how come. Let's go Mets, that's the cheer of all New York Times. Beat the Mets, beat the Mets, beat the Mets, meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Head for the park and greet the Mets. Hot dogs, green, red, all I say. Guaranteed to have a heck of a day because the Mets are really rocking the ball, hitting those home runs over the wall.
All right, here we go. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and here we are back again, live, not on camera, live from New York City, talking about the New York Mets, our favorite team, and we actually got some pretty good, there was news last night with the Mets, I think, it hasn't been made official yet, and of course, we've got a whole bunch of rumors that have popped up today, which doesn't surprise me. I think it was starting to pop up last night. When it comes to the Mets catching situation. Now, please, of course, subscribe to the channel if you want to participate in the chat. And you're new to the chat, please subscribe. This is the most, of all the channels that are on YouTube, I'm the most knowledgeable when it comes to the New York Mets and, quite frankly, the history of Major League Baseball. So, you want to come here, maybe you'll learn something, or maybe not. Maybe you'll figure out, this guy's full of crap. But I'm not that. I shoot straight. I don't like belittle the chat, to be honest with you. I don't like pander to anybody. And eventually, hopefully we'll get into other platforms beyond YouTube, because eventually YouTube is going to be kaput at some point. Not now, of course. Of course. But eventually YouTube will be kaput, like MySpace will be relevant. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but probably Twitter will probably take over for the, in terms of a competitor to this platform. But anyway, let me get to the chat. Only one person writing to me in the chat. It's the Mothman Evolved. Mothman Evolved says, Yankees fans trying hard to cramp on us, but in Cone we trust. I would mention this, Mothman, that the Yankees have spent more money this offseason than the Mets have. A lot more than the Mets have. After they signed Rodon the other day. I mentioned this about Rodon. Rodon has never won a Cy Young. He's never came close to winning 20 games. He's never come close to any kind of votes as a Cy Young Award winner. But the Yankees paid him $27 million a year. Is that insane? That makes no sense to me. That makes zero, and the Hut means 0 cents. Let me see how many Cy Young Award votes this guy has gotten. He got Cy Young Award votes in 21 and 22. He finished 5th place in the American League for Cy Young and 5th place in the National League. Now, that's a very strange thing that they would give him all this money. I guess because he's left-handed, I suppose. And he has only been hurt most of his career up until this past season. So the Yankees gave him all that money. But interestingly enough, and they had to re-sign Aaron Judge. They had no choice to re-sign Horseface. I mean, Aaron to that long-term deal. They had no choice with that. But let's get into the couple of rumors here. Hello, Hababrayu. How are you? Hello, an irresistible chicken sandwich. How are you as well? A couple of big rumors that have popped up today. One is James McCann. James McCann, it seemed that the Pittsburgh Pirates are interested in him, according to buddy John Heyman. I don't think it was a screw up. I don't think it was a problem with the autocorrect with the names and stuff. I think he's at. I wouldn't be surprised if Pittsburgh would be interested because they do need catching help. And the New York Mets have made quite a few trades over the last 15 years with the Pirates to where there's a pretty good relationship with both franchises. So that's probably a little bit of fire there. But there is a huge market for James McCann. You go on MLB trade rumors, you see this entire market of teams that are very interested in James McCann. As you know, last night they signed, and it's not official yet, Omar Narvaez. I'll get his name right. Left-handed hitting catcher that he played with Pitt. I think he's played with Milwaukee. The hell's the other team? Well, it doesn't matter. But the last few years he's played with the Brewers, and he's played in the All-Star game, especially in 21. So he has a little bit of success behind him. He's considered the second best pitch framer in baseball. He's a very good defensive catcher. He could hit a little bit. He's a .258 career hitter, although he had .206 last year. The talk was that he had a lot of injuries. He's going to be 31 going into next year. I said in the video 32. He's going to be 31 next year. So it's interesting that they signed him. As soon as they signed him, I realized that a catcher's getting moved out of here. Obviously not Alvarez. Alvarez is not going anywhere. And I don't believe Tomas Nido is going anywhere either. So James McCann is the most obvious name. But he does have a lot of money coming to him. He's got $24 million coming to him in 23 and 24. And it doesn't seem like he is all too enamored about being here, as far as I could tell. He might not be a New York type guy, even though he's played in Detroit. Detroit's not in New York, but he's played in Chicago. He's done well in Chicago, but maybe New York's not his thing. But there are several teams that could use catching help, and I'm going to run down some of the teams. The Rangers, which was rumored right after the former DeGoat went to Texas. The Arizona Diamondbacks, I've heard them that they've been looking for catching. Now the Pittsburgh Pirates seem to be talking to the Mets for McCann, and you can see what the name of the title of this video. The Chicago Cubs, they still need catching. They lost Wilson Ramos. I'm all right. Wilson Contreras to the Cardinals. That is a bad. I tell you, the Cubs. They know what the hell they're doing these days. They went crazy building that team up to finally win a World Series. They win a World Series, they break the team up, and now they're back to being the Cubs of the last 100 years prior to that. And now they're letting guys go. They're so silly, so stupid. I said Houston. The Giants, who've been pretty active, although I thought that contract for Correa was outrageous. That's a bad contract. They're going to regret making that move for him because he's not nearly as good as some of the other shortstops that have been on this market. The Padres are not everybody. The Tampa Bay Rays, believe it or not, the Tigers are interested in bringing back James McCann. They're probably. I mean, if you look at the Tigers, they're so bad. What they have there. It's going to be a few years before they come back from the abyss. And of course, Miguel Cabrera is going to be retiring after the new year. And 23 is going to be his last year. He's going to retire. So again, they're still a team in transition. The Angels, heard them interested in catching. The Marlins and the Red Sox. Another team doesn't know what the two teams that really you wonder what the hell they're doing. The Marlins, they got all this pitching and no bats. The Marlins, who, by the way, last year's draft, they had 22 draft picks in the 22 draft back in July, and they drafted 20 out of 22 pitchers. How you gonna bring any offensive talent to your team to do that? And the Red Sox with Hein Bloom, who thinks he's running the Tampa Bay Rays. At some point, the fans are gonna basically burn down Fenway to get rid of him. So you got all these teams that are interested in James McCann. We don't have to go through, how James McCann has been here the last 2 years. Again, I'll go through it for you. Okay, he's not hit nearly as well as that we thought he was going to hit. He's a terrible team. He's a terrible player in my view. He's very his defense, in my view, is very overrated. Let me go through his offense. In the 2 years with the Mets, he's hit 13 home runs, 64 RBIs. He's hit 220, 282 on-base percentage, pathetic. 328 slugging percentage, 610 OPS, and OPS plus 70. Horrific. And this past year, he hit 195. Horrific. And that's in 182 games for the Mets. And they signed to this big long-term deal. And meanwhile, JT Realmuto was on the... I don't like the one big mistake that the new ownership has done. I also mentioned that our buddy Andy Martino, that he has mentioned how the Mets have... this is also on Twitter. If you follow things on Twitter, I have to follow on him on the old Comic account. But he's saying that the Mets are shopping Carlos Carrasco and James McCann. So they're trying to move some money out of here because they have to do some juggling here just to sort of create a better balanced 40-man roster. Balance's 40-man roster is not very good. Also mentioned, this is pretty funny, is that the A's signed Trevor May. Trevor May is now the highest paid player on the A's. He's got a $7 million deal. But, so the Mets are shopping James McCann. They're shopping Carlos Carrasco. Now, Carrasco, as you know, pitched pretty good last year. He was able to stay healthy last year. But he did have injuries at the end of the year. The Mets decided to pick up his option. He had a vesting option that he met a certain amount of innings. I think it was 170 innings. That the 170 innings he would have gotten, the option picked up. But the Mets picked up the option because at the time they didn't really have a pitching staff other than Max Scherzer at the time, because everybody had become a free agent. But he went 15-7 last year with 3.97 ERA, 152 innings pitched. He gave 161 runs. He gave 17 home runs. Walked 41 batters. Not a bad amount. I am not a big fan of his. Okay, I saw enough of him that I didn't really care for some of. Because sometimes, when he pitches, the guy sort of goes in and out of these games. If he doesn't have all his good stuff, doesn't have his breaking stuff working well, he can be hit hard. So that's the one thing about him that's a big problem. And I think they could probably find somebody that's a little bit younger and be more valuable in terms of being able to stay on the field. Because obviously he's had some injuries. He had the cancer a few years ago. So his ability to stay on the field has not been very good. And obviously he had a couple of injuries in 21 that curtailed his ability to pitch well and pitch for the Mets. Got a few more people in here. Hello, Aaron Gandia, Mike from the Avenue, Dookie Hauser, Frank Mercurio. Hello. Dookie says the Mets better get one or two more right-handed bats or they're going to be hurting offensively. And Trevor May stunk when he was here. I don't think they need two right-handed bats. I think they could use one. Or a really good left-handed bat. They did hit rather well offensively. The problem is not enough power. Offensively, they were pretty good, but they need more pop here. That's it. They need protection for Pete. If they find somebody a little bit better than what they've had here, then they should be in pretty good shape with that. That's really the last piece of the puzzle. They don't need to. But also keep an eye on Darren Ruff. Maybe he might get moved. I mentioned that in the video earlier. He has $3 million coming to him in 23, which is not a lot for a player. So there's a good chance that maybe the Mets release him or he gets moved as well. So I don't think he's going to be. I also mentioned this as well as a side note, that the Mets now currently have 39 players on the 40-man roster. They have not announced Kodai Senga being signed officially, and they have not officially announced Omar Narvaez. So you got two guys that once they announce it, they'll be over 41. So this they have to work on this. As soon as they get these physicals done, they have to make a move. So a move is going to be made very soon in the next few days. Because once they announce some of these once they announce these signings, somebody has to go. So that is something you got to keep an eye on. So just keep it, just keep an eye out for it, because those things, this is going to happen soon. I would expect some moves to be made by the end of the weekend. By Monday, I expect some moves. I expect either a trade or somebody being released or some kind of swap. Also, if you were to trade just one piece off of the 40-man roster, say you trade James McCann, and you bring in Senga and you bring in Narvaez onto the 40-man roster, you're at 40 men, okay? I still think they're going to bring in another bat. I think they're going to bring in another major league pitcher to pitch out of that bullpen. And I also think if they move Carrasco, that they'll replace him with another starter. That may not be it'd be a little more cost effective. So that's something to really keep an eye on and be aware of over the next. Keep Googling it. Keep checking on Twitter. Do as much as you can if you can. And, of course, subscribe to the hut. Subscribe to my channel, because I'll get the news out as quickly as I can. Now, I will not be home tomorrow night to do like a video, but maybe at some point during the day for a few minutes, I'll be able to do a video, but not live stream. But I do my best to get the news out to you. You got to check the community out if I can't do a video. And you can keep an eye out there for that. Because I was 2 weeks ago when the Mets lost Jacob Degrom, I was at a function. And I was not going to be able to do a video that entire day. And I didn't do a video on Degrom until the following afternoon when I got back home. And it was completely... the video did not do as well as it probably should have. And if I had done a live stream at the time, we would have done really well here. Mike from the Avenue. Carrasco, McCann, and Ruff combined are making $28 million, which is crazy. Well, like I said earlier a few minutes ago, with McCann and Narvaez here, you have $39 million over the next 2 years committed to two catchers that have been all-stars, but they're not all-star regular every year-to-year all-stars. So just keep that in mind. I expect some of these guys, these three guys in particular, Mike, to be moved fairly quickly over the next week, if not before that. Like I said, probably by the end of the weekend, somebody's going to be gone. At least one of them, if not all three of them. Because like I said, they need another bat here. They have been talking to some guys. They talked to Michael Conforto, and a lot of people aren't interested in that. I could be persuaded to bring him back. They've talked to J.D. Martinez. He's older. Looking at Adam Duvall, now that I'm looking at him a little bit, I would stay away from him. He's 33 years old. He had an injury last year. He's a 230 hitter, He does hit for power. He's had 3 years of 30 home runs or more. He doesn't hit 30 home runs. He hit 30 home runs last year. 38 home runs last year. 113 RBIs that year too. I would not do that. I would stay away from him. He's a bit older, and he's not nearly as good as J.D. Martinez is in his career. But I would not take a chance on him. Now Martinez has an issue. He has a back issue, and his second half was pretty lousy. Some of the guys that there was all kinds of rumors about with the Mets before the trade deadline, in terms of bats, they all did lousy. They all did lousy. Josh Bell had a bad second half. J.D. Martinez had a bad second half. And who's the other guy? And Trey Mancini had a lousy time in Houston. From Anthony Tessaria. Rockies could use a catcher. Always can use pitching. Maybe ship McCann or Carrasco for, say, Charlie Blackmon to DH as this year left at $15 million left. He's not great, but would take him from McCann. I am not a big fan of Charlie Blackmon. He's a dope on the field. He's a dope. That guy is a dope. I hope there's no relatives of Charlie in the live stream. Maybe he's a nice guy, but on the field, he's a dope. I'd stay as far away from him as possible. Before that guy was like an all-star. This guy didn't know what the hell he was doing on the field. In a game against the Mets in Colorado one time, the guy embarrassed himself on the bases in the outfield. I was like, I don't want anything to do with this guy. This guy's a dope. And the thing with the beard and the hair, it's time to cut it. That's 2015, 2017. That has to go. He needs to clean himself up and straighten out. I wouldn't touch him. Hold on, I need drink. Look. Yeah, I wouldn't touch him. Mike from the Avenue. Aaron Hicks is worse. Trust me, coming from Yankees. I know he's pretty bad, though. That guy got a 7-year deal. And he's a 220 hitter. Yankees gave him a 7-year deal for 220. Ain't he crazy? 220 hitter gets a 7-year deal? What do we get? I'm past my prime. I can tell you that as an athlete. But boy, oh boy. Charlie Blackmon. Ugh. Stay away from him. You know. I mean, just on this, just to sort of look. Why not? Let me take a look at old Charlie. Since somebody mentioned it. All right. He has been playing since 2011. So he's been around for 11 years. He's a 5'10 guy, so he can't get traded unless he approves it. So he is a guy that needs to approve a trade. Okay? Now you know you're going to lose production from him because he's going to be leaving Colorado. Okay? You know you're going to lose production. Now, in the time that he has been with the Rockies, he's played there 12 years, 11 years, his wins above replacement is only 19.3. That's not very high. Not very high at all. Mets can do better than him. He's left-handed. You know, preferably you'd like to get somebody right-handed here for obvious reasons. And he's going to be 37 sometime next year. July 1st, he's going to be 37. The last 2 years, his OPS plus has been 95. So he's 5% less than he has been as a player, average-wise, as opposed to everybody else in the league. So in other words, he has been below average as a player, and it would drop if he were to come to, say, a place that was at or below sea level. He's above sea level. In the last 2 years, he's 5% less than the average major leaguer. So I would not be interested in him. You know, I never really, like I said, never really liked the way he played. He's a bit strange. The thing with the beard is strange after a few years. Mike Navi, what was your thoughts on the Rodon signing? I don't know if you talked about it already. Well, I mentioned before, a couple minutes ago that I thought the money that he got was outrageous, and I thought that the Yankees overpaid in terms of the money. And I would be very careful. I've been very careful if I'd given him a 6-year deal because he's had injuries. I mean, he's not accomplished. Let's say Justin Verlander is, or Jacob Degrom is, or you know, he's never won a Cy Young. He's finished 2 times 5th in the voting. That's only the last 2 years in the National League and the American League. The biggest thing he has going for him, he's left-handed. He has good stuff. He's considered a number 1 starter. I think the Yankee fans and the media here with the way they're treating it's like, oh, he's going to win the World Series. Well, they still have not solved their problem in terms of their offense. Okay? They re-signed Rizzo, who's a 220 hitter, but he's hit 35 home runs this past year for the Yankees. Aaron Judge hit 62 home runs last year. But the thing about Aaron is don't expect him to do that again. He had a career year. So expect him to hit 40, which is fine, but don't expect him to hit another 62 ever again. If he does, I'd be shocked. So that's something to keep an eye on, where the Yankees go, because the Yankees, like I said, their problem is their offense and being this all-or-nothing team. Okay, the fact that DJ LeMay is pretty much, DJ LeMay is pretty much shot as a player. He's not the player that he once was because I think now he's gotten older now and can't stay healthy. That really hurts that lineup. And the fact that they've really not had a shortstop for a few years now, that is very troubling in terms of their offense. I've not seen them improve that offense. Their pitching's a little bit better now with Rodon, but their offense is not great. It's all or nothing. And whenever they go up against the Astros just completely shut them down. So I've not seen any kind of improvement. That's why if they brought in Brandon Nimmo, that really would have opened up their offense a lot because he gets on base a lot. He says he's going to steal bases. That would have been the perfect guy for them, even though he's left-handed. What would they have more right-handed than I think about these? But he would have been perfect for them. Michael Conforto would be good, but again, he could be an all-nothing bat. But the Mets would be more of a role play than he would be with the Yankees. But it's a very strange offense that the Yankees have, by the way. But that I'm not too obviously when the Yankees do poorly, I love it. I love when the Yankees do poorly because it cracks me up. Because then the Yankee fans don't know how to handle it. They get all pissed off, and they start talking about things from 100 years ago. Oh, we've won this many championships. What the hell cares? What the hell does that mean? Nothing. From Anthony, AJ Pollock. Now that is not a bad idea. You might have struck an interesting thing there, Anthony. Let's take a look at AJ. AJ's a pretty good player. He's won a Gold Glove. He's a center fielder. He won a World Series. He's been to the All-Star game. He's 30. Let's see. He's gonna be. He just turned 35. So he's 35 years old now. He's a free agent. Interesting. So he's a free agent. He is a free agent. Let me take a look at his numbers. He's a 276. A 276 career batting average. 332 on-base percentage. It's a little low. That's a really looking for these on-base guys. Obviously, McCann is a big on-base guy. Slugging percentage, 469. And all the numbers are down this past year with the White Sox. 801 OPS plus. OPS plus for his career is 113. It was 91 and 22. That's low. Maybe it's because he was in the American League. He spent his whole career in the National League. Interesting. His numbers aren't bad. I would think about bringing in Pollock. 14 home runs, 26 doubles, 56 runs batted in, and 61 runs scored. That's not bad. Those are not bad numbers. You take a look at this postseason. Play a lot of postseason with the Dodgers. Let me take a look at his numbers. His numbers are okay in the postseason, but he's played a lot of postseason games. That's good. I would think about him. He's not a bad player. He's a good player. From Mike from the Avenue. I try to keep it real as a Yankee fan, but I respect the Mets and their fans like I have nothing against you guys. Oh, whew. That's a relief. I want to please these Yankee fans, including yourself. Mothman. Dookie is the man. He wants to trade one of the best shortstops in Lindor for a hurt, broke down Tatis. Let me tell you something. Dookie, I hope you're not talking to me like that. Don't talk to me like that, Dookie. I might time you out if you keep that up. Yeah, Tatis is done. He is shot. Tatis is not somebody you want anywhere near your team. And Lindor is a good player, and he seems like he's a family man and all that. Mets really did a good job recruiting him and talking to him before they sign. I'm always relaxed here, Dookie. Yeah, okay. I would mention this. I don't go for people fighting in the stream. Okay. So I would expect that people act like adults in here. That's a very simple warning. Steven says, what about bringing back Villar and Pollock? No. They were part of that clubhouse that was not good, and the Mets did not have any trouble. Not bringing them back. So that's not something. That's not something that I would do. Nah. Jonathan Villar, I don't think he's a winning player, and I think that Kevin Pillar, I think he's kind of like way past his prime. Although he's a very tough guy, I don't really. I think there was a lot of issues in that clubhouse, and I think it's just a bad mix with some of those guys. Why go back? You always move forward with players, you know. The Mets won 101 games. Somebody mentioned, do you think the Mets are better after winning 101 games? I think they're the same. 101 wins. How much better can you get? You get better on the edges. I mean, they re-signed Nimmo, so the lineup is pretty much the same as it was, and it was a good lineup. But they could use more power. We know that. I mean, that's about as obvious a thing as you can come up with, is that the Mets need another bat in this lineup. Preferably a right-handed bat. But like I said, I would take a left-handed bat, like Michael Brantley. Michael Brantley hits both lefties and righties. I wouldn't mind him. And again, I know some people wouldn't like that, but I could be convinced to sign Mike Conforto. I haven't heard much about him with the Mets the last day or two, but I could be convinced to bring him back. I don't think he'd want to come back because I think he'd want to go to a smaller ballpark and maybe get his swing back. Do you want to wait to get his swing back? So, I would say this. I'm going to have to time out Dookie because usually Dookie doesn't come around much. So usually we have a very nice chat in the live stream. So you're gonna have to wait a few minutes to come back and participate, Dookie. Because Markman's a cool guy and he's one of my mods. So sorry. Come back in 5 minutes. I don't want to see anybody fighting. And Morphman doesn't normally go back and forth with too many people in the chat. So I'll leave that where it is. So, I could be convinced to bring back Michael. But he'd probably be better off. If he went somewhere else like Cincinnati, Chicago, Colorado. Go to a place where he can build up his numbers and then get dealt at the trading deadline. Go to a team that's in it and put up big numbers and play well, and then get a big contract next year. The biggest problem with Michael was that last year he had a bad walk year, and this is after he turned down the contract the Mets offered him, and then had a bad year. That's the worst scenario you could possibly get. Is a team that you've been with for 6 years offers you a big contract. Hold on, I need a drink. And then you turn it down, and then you have a bad. He did the opposite of Aaron Judge. Bob, you think Michael will have a big year on a prove it deal? He has to. He has to have a good year. He has to have a big year. If he doesn't, then people are going to say, he's done. That the year off killed his career, and that because of his decisions as a free agent, he screwed up his whole career. So Michael has no choice but to be a guy that is having a big. He has no choice but to have a big year. To have a big free agent year because he did not have it last year. Frank Matos, I'm late to the party. What's the latest? The latest is the Mets are shopping James McCann, and the name popping up today, according to Arson Judge author John Heyman, is that the Pirates are talking to the Mets for James McCann, as well as they're trying to shop Carlos Carrasco, which we kind of knew was happening. I think what the Mets want to do with Carrasco is move him and bring in a pitcher that they can control a little bit, maybe for another year for less money. and that is reliable enough to take the starts that Carrasco would take. I think that's kind of what they're thinking about doing. Either they sign somebody, and I'm going to run through some free agents that might be left. Most of the pitchers are signed, but I can run through somebody and find somebody here. That would be interesting. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi is somebody. I would mention also this. The Mets have 7 of the first 5 draft picks in the first 5 rounds. Frank Montas. I don't get why we would trade Carrasco. I think a lot of it has to do with the age, I think. And I think maybe they feel like they can't rely on him to pitch a whole season. And I think that's kind of why they do that. I think also they want to have a little flexibility with McGill and Peterson. They want to give them a chance to pitch more. So maybe they feel that if I know you can't have all these guys. You can't have such an old rotation. And Carrasco is actually he's not even the oldest guy in the rotation. So I think they want to make the rotation a little bit younger with another guy in the back end. So maybe they pitch McGill and they pitch Peterson more. But we'll see on that. I know people are sort of half and half on it. I have no issue with them trading him. Obviously, it depends on who they get. He would probably go to a mid-range team. I don't see him going to a bad team. I'd be surprised if he got moved to a bad team. I could see him going to a team that might be a little bit better than that. But we'll keep that in mind. I don't know who would be interested in him. But I'm not a big fan of his. So I mean, just to be honest with you, when he doesn't have his stuff, he gets hit pretty hard, and usually gets hit hard in that first inning. When he doesn't have good stuff. But we'll see. Mauricio for Devers. Devers is not getting traded, I don't think. It seems the Red Sox are getting very aggressive about re-signing him. And even if they don't re-sign him, I don't think they're moving him. They didn't move Bogarts, and they let Bogarts walk. Like I said, the Red Sox are being run like they're the Rays. And because of that, they're just so strange about how Chaim Bloom is running that. And I would mention this about Bloom. That Bloom was up for the general managership here a few years ago. Thank God the Mets didn't bring him in here. That would have been a disaster. Instead, we got our good buddy Brody. But Brody now has been vindicated about a lot of things. The Cano trade has turned out to be a great trade with Diaz. But, boy, Bloom doesn't know what he's doing. And, he's a small-time guy. Small-time guys should not be going to Boston. It's like with David Stearns and Milwaukee. He should stay as far away from New York as he can. And nobody should keep suggesting that he be here in New York. Because he comes across as a small-town guy, too. Stay in a small town where there's not a lot of media. They're not going to be crushing him like they will here. But, Mauricio's value is going up. He had an okay, season this past year. He didn't, take a big step, Mauricio's got a lot of talent. He's, very talented bat. He's got a lot of raw power, but it's very difficult to project him right now because really he's not really a shortstop. So I don't know. The Brewer fans are saying Narvaez is special, but Met fans say he is not. So I don't know what to believe. YouTube highlights he looks solid, but honestly, I want to give Alvarez a shot. Well, he's just here to improve the offense on this behind the plate because the Mets got no offense back there. That's why I don't know how much longer McCann's going to be here. Because McCann doesn't provide any offense, and his defense sucks. How can you be a bad offensive catcher and be a lousy defensive catcher in him? Well, he proved that he could do both. Like I said in the video last night, McCann, he's not very good at catching pitch balls. He's not very good at that. He's not very good at framing it. There's a lot of times the ball bounces off his glove. He's one of the worst catchers I've ever seen in terms of blocking the plate. And I've seen the best of all time. If you're old enough, you saw Gary Carter. He was the best at blocking balls in the dirt. Nobody's even close to that, and I've been watching baseball for 35, 40 years. Nobody. And that means nobody's as good as he was. And I've seen McCann now for 2 years. He's terrible. Yes, Trevor May Signed with the A's. He's the highest paid player on the Oakland team. And he'll be basically when the season starts, he'll be 4 months away from getting traded from the A's to some contender. Where the A's will pick up some player in the minor leagues and he'll become like an all-star 3 years down the road. But the A's will win like 90 games and then the A's will move him for somebody. A little Mets tweet. We've signed Tommy Hunter, Jimmy Yacamonis, Abraham Almonte, Jose Peraza. These are to minor league contracts with invitations to Major League Spring Training. Additionally, we've re-signed Sean Reed Foley to a minor league contract. As you know, Sean Reed Foley, he blew out his elbow early in the season last year. Tommy Hunter's back. Jose Peraza, who played for the Mets last year, he's back. I liked him a lot. I think he's got a good chance to make the team. And Sean Reed Foley will be coming back off of Tommy John surgery. So that's some interesting news here. That's a tweet by the Mets, by the way. More been involved. Andy Martino reports Mets want his package. Both Carlos and McCann a deal. Any idea who would be desperate enough, Hut? I did not hear them packaged together. I read that before. I didn't see that they would be. All right, let me go through a couple other things. This is from SI.com, from Pat Rangazzo. It's a good guy. You got to follow this guy. The guy does really good stuff. And again, in the meanwhile, please subscribe and like this video, like the live stream, and please send me a super chat. It helps out the channel. You know, the channel's not moving as quickly as I'd like. Right, here's the article. In the wake of a flurry of recent signings, the Mets are reportedly mulling the idea of trading these two players. According to Andy Martino, the Mets are talking to teams, multiple teams, about trading Carlos Carrasco and James McCann. The Mets replaced Degrom, Chris Bass, and Taijuan Walker in their rotation with Verlander, Kodai Senga, and Jose Quintana. The team believes David Peterson has earned a shot to compete for the number 5 spot. However, there is no room in the rotation if the Mets keep Carrasco. On the other hand, trading Carrasco would significantly weaken the Mets' pitching depth. With Carrasco gone, Peterson and Tyler McGill would be competing for the 5th startup job. But beyond this duo, the depth gets rather thin. The Mets hang on to him, which appears to be the safest move, as you can never have enough pitching. Peterson and McGill would be number 6 and 7. Thus, starting the year in the minors, both have multiple options left. Behind this tandem would be Eliza Hernandez. I don't like that idea. Hernandez could potentially take on Trevor Williams. Losing Trevor Williams was pretty big. That sort of got forgotten. Trevor Williams' swing role, pitching in long relief, and making occasional starts when needed. Carrasco is making $14 million. As for McCann, the backstop is still owed $24 million across the next 2 years, and the Mets would likely have to eat some of that money if they are able to trade him. Mets also just signed former All-Star catcher Omar Narvaez to a 1-year deal with player option. New York could possibly carry 3 catchers on their 26-man roster to start the season. However, they also have top prospect Francisco Alvarez waiting in the wings. So, I expect something, and it has more to do with the roster than anything else. The fact that the 40-man roster is getting close to being tight, that is that issue. That is the issue. Is that they're at 39 players on the 40-man roster. Now, these players they announced, they're all minor league invites. So these guys are going to play for the Mets in March and get a lot of playing time. But guys, keep an eye on with the sort of the minor league deals they signed today. There's Tommy Hunter again and Jose Peraza. We'll see if Jose Peraza. More fan about any reason why we haven't announced Senga, and when will we see a Verlander Senga press conference? Does that mean the Mets are busy? No, I'll tell you why. Senga's still taking his physical, and from what Nimmo said, he had to go to California to take his physical. It wasn't in New York that he had to do the physical. So he told me a player that is from Japan, and he's in Japan. So he has to go either to New York to come here to do some kind of part of the physical, then go out to California to do a physical, and then come back here. So, and then wait for the results. Okay? Now, as for Verlander's on vacation. Verlander is on vacation. I forgot where the hell he was. See, let me take a look and see, because there's, he obviously we don't know. He's married to a supermodel. They're in St. Bart's, so that's really where where he is. So that's why they're not in any kind of rush to sort of come home yet. And they're splish splashing around and down there. With their kids, so that's why they haven't had a press conference yet. They haven't had a press conference yet with her. I mean, with him. So it's going to be a little while before. Probably by the time probably in a couple of weeks, we'll find out. They'll have a press conference for Verlander. So. But they already announced that Verlander was coming. At some point, they'll have to do the press conference. I find it funny that the players the Mets sign, if I do a Google on them and I want to take a picture and just use the picture, I don't get the wife on here. With Justin, whenever I Google his name, his wife pops up. But she's probably just as famous as he is, So so I would, I just want to mention that because she's going to become a big part. I think we're going to get really annoyed with her very quickly. I think. Yeah. I think we're going to get very annoyed with her very quickly. I think around here, but who knows? Guess she could do whatever she wants. The Mothman again. Thank you for answering my question. I'm going to put this up. But here is the ultimate question: if you are GM at the Mets, are you pursuing Ohtani as we speak, then locking him down? And if so, who will we trade? No, you wait. Yeah. I wouldn't do that. Yeah. I would wait. Just wait a year. The Angels cannot trade Ohtani. Okay, they're in the process of getting sold. If they trade him, the complete total value of that team between now and, say, August 1st, it completely goes down the toilet. So if you're the owner, if you're Artie Moreno and his family, why would you trade Ohtani knowing that you will lose money in a deal with somebody that wants to buy the team? You basically cut your throat. You basically lose millions and millions of dollars. Or billions of dollars just based on moving him. So you hold on to him for the rest of the season. I would expect that the team will get sold before September 1st of next year. So why bother moving him? You can just hold on to him. And you let him play out his contract. The Mets are going to be in on Ohtani. And the Mets are a 101-win team. How much bet? Think about it this way. Say the Mets make some more moves where they push this team to the front. They get some more players on the fringe, like they did last night. They signed and reported it's been reported that they signed Narvaez. Maybe they bring in a DH type. Maybe they bring in another reliever, which is what they need. Maybe they trade Carrasco. They bring in another starter that's a little bit cheaper for 1 year. And they win a World Series this year. So you win a World Series. Now, if the Mets win the World Series in 23, and 24, the ballpark is going to be filled. They're going to be sold out every night. They bring in the best, the most unbelievable thing would be, then you bring in Ohtani. Because then you got a show beyond just the ball club, and it's huge. So From the McCann, Verlander's press conference is 10 a.m. Tuesday of next week. Well, I kind of figured that, So, there you go, He's so worried about. So he's so worried about when Verlander's going to make that announcement. Okay, But hello, Jersey Grit. How you doing? But you could just wait. There's no rush to sign Ohtani. There's no rush to trade for him. Just wait till he's a free agent. All you gotta do is give up a draft pick. Why bother giving up any of the farm system? And when we get to the next draft, the Mets would have done so much work over the last 2 years to improve this farm system. They'll have one of the best farm systems in baseball. And all they'll have to do is give up one draft pick for Ohtani. So just wait. Oh, no Zoom. Oh boy. Oh, boy. So there's no Zoom for Verlander. Oh, boy. It means his wife's going to be there. She's probably going to be there with him. Oh, boy. And, I wouldn't mention about her. She's not a fake fan. She's far from a fake fan. She knows what's going on in the field. Because that's how they met. They met at the ball. I think they met at Yankee Stadium, I think. So. All right. Mothman asks, he signed JD Martinez. I don't know. With him, I think I'd like to know how his back is. Okay. Because that was the big problem last year. His wife is crazy when it comes to the stuff with the baseball. She knows what's going on in the field. Big with baseball the last 10 years. But so it'll be fascinating to see how he is here and what kind of version the Mets get. Just looking at the side, seeing what's going on. I guess they announced the Phillies announced Taijuan Walker. I don't care about that. But let's run down some players that are available and some players that got moved and that signed with teams, and we'll talk about some players that are going to get traded. Obviously, the big trade this offseason was Sean Murphy, then traded to the Braves. All right. As you know, Aaron Judge re-signed with the Yankees. No surprise there. No surprise from this side of YouTube that Jacob Degrom was going to the Rangers. I know a lot of the YouTubers other than myself, said that, first of all, about Jacob Degrom. For the last 2 years, I had mentioned about how he seemed very unhappy here, that he wasn't happy about living in New York. He wasn't happy. And I think now, looking at it more, I don't think he was too happy with the Coens. I don't think he really liked them too much. It didn't seem like he connected the way some of the other Mets players have. So I was saying for 2 years that I didn't think he was coming back. I was really the only one that said that, and to see him leave, I'm not happy that he's gone, but it probably needed to happen, I guess, for everybody. So he's with Texas. Let him enjoy the bad teams. The one thing about Jacob is he's a great guy. He's a great pitcher. But he did not make the Mets better. It seemed like the Mets struggled when he was on that mound. They could never hit with him on the mound. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I've never seen a great pitcher have an offense that struggled as poorly as his did. If you remember with Dwight Gooden, the Mets always destroyed other teams when he pitched. So he's a big. Those years were very disappointing. He should have won 20 games at least twice here, but because of the Met offense and because of bad bullpens, he didn't win 20 games both years. And that really, and the fact that he hasn't come close to 100 wins in his career is telling. And the fact that he only won 81 games here puts him in a weird spot. Most surprising contract was the Carlos Correa contract. Why would you give this guy 13 years? Why would you give him more money than Trey Turner? and more years than Trey Turner because of his age. Trey Turner is a better player than this guy, and he's not hurt. This guy's always hurt. And in his career, in the first 7 years of his career, he's had OPS pluses under 100. So he's been below the average major leaguer. Very strange contract that the Giants gave him. Very strange. Trey Turner, he went to the Phillies. They needed to make a big move because Bryce Harper's not going to be there for the first half of that season. He's probably not going to be effective until August, I would think. The Verlander, he came to the Mets, talked about him. Another surprise was that Xander Bogaerts signed a 11-year deal with the Padres. Again, why are you signing these guys these long-term deals? It's insane. Give them 5 years, 7 years, not 10, 12 years. It's like that with Lindor. The Mets gave him a 10-year deal. And we just went through the first year. Because the very first year here, the Cleveland Guardians and Indians, what the hell they call themselves, they paid for that 1 year. They're the ones that made that contract with him. Mark Mannival, Justin Turner 1 year contract. I'm not a big fan of his. I'm not a big fan of his, to be honest with you. That's just how I feel about him. Next player up is Carlos Rodon. He signed with the Yankees. Crazy contract for a guy who's never come close to 20 wins or come close to the Cy Young. Never won any major awards. A lot of money for him. And the Yankees still have not solved that problem. Let me take a look at Will Myers. Dansby Swanson. We've heard the Cubs. Now it's on to hear that he might go back to the Braves. Keep an eye on that. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened now. Let's see Will Myers. Will Myers last year hit .261. He's 31 years old. I don't think he's any good anymore. I'd stay away from him. He's not as good as he was in the beginning of his career. I'm not a big fan of his. Edwin Diaz, Brandon Nimmo came back to the Mets. Jose Abreu went to the Astros. Kershaw went back to the Dodgers. He'll probably finish his career with the Dodgers. Cody Senga signed with the Mets. That's not been made official. They will make that official. And once that happens, the Mets rosters of 40 players. And when they announce Omar Narvaez, they'll have to cut down on the roster. Somebody's going to have to go. Wilson Contreras, he went to the Cardinals, signed a 5-year deal with the Cardinals. He takes over for Yadier Molina. Chris Bassett, who pitched really well here, but he kind of complained about New York a little bit. And then completely did nothing in October against the Braves and the Padres. So he was very disappointing at the end. That's too bad. I really liked him. He pitched really well for the Mets. Tyler Anderson went to the Angels. That was early on. Rizzo went to the Yankees. Kenley Jansen's out of the National League. He's with the Red Sox. He's not going to pitch well in the Red Sox. He's probably getting close to the end. Jameson Taillon. The Mets were kind of close to signing him, and then he went to the Cubs. Guess he'd rather play for a bad team than a good team. Martin Perez, he re-signed with the Rangers, took the qualifying offer. All right, some guys that haven't signed yet. JD Martinez, we talked about him. I don't think Cleveland's on him anymore. Keep an eye on Arizona, Pittsburgh, and the Dodgers. The Dodgers have been kind of hot after him a little bit. Kind of heard a little bit about him a couple of weeks ago. Or last week or whatever it was. Let's see. Yuli Gurriel, he's a free agent. He's been the Astros' first baseman for a few years. I don't know where he's going. I don't know if he's resigning there. But obviously with Abreu, who's a better player than him, he's probably going to be gone. So keep an eye on the White Sox, the Giants, the Rangers, the Padres, and Tampa Bay Rays. Justin Turner, like I said before. Really, I've heard Miami and Arizona really primarily. Nathan Eovaldi, don't worry. The New York Yankees are going to sign Nathan Eovaldi, I would think. I wouldn't mind if the Mets signed him. Maybe just, they signed him for less than what they were paying and what they're paying Carrasco. Because he pitched well in a big spot. So he's a guy. Cody Bellinger went to the Cubs, which I was not unhappy about. I did not want him here with the Mets. And a lot of people were like hot after him. I didn't want him here. Let's see. Oh, here's something interesting. From John Heyman and Jeff Pelzan. Joey Gallo has signed a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Twins. Okay. You know he's not a New York type of guy. So he was a guy that wasn't going to be here with either team. But he's gone off to the Minnesota Twins. Andrew Benintendi, where's he going to go? I got a lot of teams on him. The Yankees are still interested, not for 5 years. I've heard the Tigers, the Rockies, the Red Sox, Houston, the Blue Jays. That might not happen now because they signed Bellinger, but maybe. The Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles. Interesting. Let me see. Just keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on that. Please subscribe again to the channel. Just write something down. I forgot where a certain player went. All right. Sometimes I have my list and I forgot to write this stuff down. Noah Syndergaard, as you know, went to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers posted like a video of him saying he's going to recapture his time as the God of Thunder. The guy's not throwing hard anymore. So how's he going to find that extra miles an hour that he lost? Who knows? Jurickson Profar, I know people have mentioned him on this channel. I do not think he's any good. Don't be fooled by his numbers against the Mets. He's below average across the board offensively. Not a very high average, not a very on-base percentage, not a very high slugging. Anything under 400, you stay as far away from as possible. With these other negative numbers offensively, stay away from that. Josh Bell, he went to the Guardians. Jose Quintana signed a 2-year deal with the Mets. That's a pretty good deal for the Mets. Zach Eflin's probably the worst contract. Zach Eflin's probably the worst contract of this offseason. And the media has gone crazy saying that this was one of the best signings of the offseason. He signed a 3-year deal for $40 million with the Rays. This guy stinks. This guy has stunk his career. An ERA of 4.4 or higher? And you give that guy that contract? Terrible. Roberto Denise Jr. says the Yankees can't stand Uncle Steve and the way he's been doing all the deals. Evil Empire will never be able to get close to Uncle Steve. Now, I would mention this there, Roberto. The Mets have the Yankees have spent more money than the Mets have. So they've gotten fewer players than the Mets have, and they spent more money, a lot more money than the Mets did this offseason. Believe it or not. Michael Conforto. Going to run down these teams that are on him, supposedly on him. But I don't know how close this is or anything. We got the Mets, the White Sox, the Yankees, the Mariners, the Orioles. He'd be good for the Orioles, but they're not nearly, that ballpark's not nearly as big as it was, small as it was. Houston, Toronto, Colorado, and the Cubs. So we'll see. Christian Vasquez went to the Twins. Adam Ottavino's still out there. Trey Mancini's still out there. Brandon Drury, I would not mind having him back here with the Mets. I've heard nothing with his market. Nothing. Adam Frazier, he signed with the Orioles. I'm glad. I don't really care for his scheme. The Orioles should have gotten a little bit better play than him. Andrew Haney is another guy I'm glad didn't sign with the Mets. He's another guy who's a terrible player. Been terrible in his career. He signed with the Rangers. Gene Segura is still out there. Mitch Haniger he was a non-tendered. He got a big contract from the Giants. Ross Stripling went to the Giants. Andrew Chafin is still a free agent. I don't see the Mets signing him now after they brought in Brooks Raley. Dom Smith is still out there. We've heard the Cubs. Trevor Williams, he signed with the Nationals. And Seth Lugo seems like the Padres, the Red Sox, and the Dodgers are interested. Mark Manval says the 24 free agency includes Ohtani, Devers, and Machado. Yeah, Machado's going to opt out of that contract. You know it. You know it. And the Mets will be discussed. I wouldn't go near him. Just because of his age now. He's going to be 32, I guess. And Devers, I think you'll hear about with the Mets, but I think they're going to be so deep with Ohtani. I don't know. I wouldn't mind Devers. He's a really good player. If the Mets were to lose out on Ohtani, I could probably live with it. If they win a World Series this year, next year, and they lose out on Ohtani, I can live with that. And they sign Devers, I wouldn't have a problem with that. They have a lot. I mean, the Mets do have a lot of money coming off the books after this season, so they do have a lot of money coming off. I think like $40 to $60 million coming off the books. And again, please subscribe if you haven't already, and like the video. Let's see if anything else is going on. Let's take a look. Joey Gallo got a 1-year deal of $11 million. That's nothing. Boy, his value has completely collapsed from what he had. I'll tell you, that guy's one of the worst players I've seen. He's not even Adam Dunn level. Adam Dunn always hit like 40 home runs, 100 RBIs every year. But he wasn't a good defensive player. This guy's a good defensive player, and he's a lousy bat. Hits long home runs, and then they say, this guy's the best. He's terrible. Really not any good. But, again, please like this video and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. So, some trade candidates. We'll run through some of them are the Mets. Some are Mets and some are not. Brian Reynolds. I don't think he's getting moved. Okay. The Comic Kid, I think the Mets will go for next. We'll see. Maybe another bat. Comic Kid. Never seen you around here before. Never seen you around, kid. James McCann, we mentioned him as a big part of the show today. He's a trade candidate. Sean Murphy, he got traded to the Braves. It doesn't seem like Travis d'Arnaud is going to get moved. That's what they're saying. There's been some kind of talk of McCann get moved. I don't see him get moved now. Now they brought back Brandon Nimmo. Comic Kid says, I usually on Mets Weekly Live. Okay. Well, welcome to the show. Yankees are desperate to move Josh Donaldson. We've heard Pablo Lopez of the Marlins being shopped. I don't know what the hell the Marlins are doing, like I said. Liam Hendricks is being shopped. There's no fit with the Mets because the Mets have a closer. He'd be coming in here onto a team that has a closer. Nobody's going to make a trade and say we're going to put you in as the setup man, and you give up closer type talent. You're not going to do that. Darren Ruff, he could be released or traded. Probably most likely released. Carlos Carrasco, we talked a lot about him. I think he has a chance of getting traded. Where he's going to go, who knows? Comic Kid says, I think the Mets will get Justin Turner. We'll see. I'm not a big fan of his, by the way. Not at his age now. I don't trust him. There's something always. I know people. Major League Baseball's propped him up, but I saw him for 4 years here with the Mets, and you don't change that much as a player at his age. Something's a little suspicious to me with him. So I'm not a big fan of his. I never really liked his personality on the field. Too much about, I don't know. I know he's well liked, but I never really cared for him. I don't know why. But I would stay away from him if I were the Mets. I think that ship, in terms of him being with the Mets, is won't set sail. Again, I'm not a big fan of JD Martinez either. To be honest with you, because of his age and that back issue and the fact that he had a lousy second half. That's another guy I'm not too enamored with. To be honest with you, of the players on this list that I have here, Michael Conforto is a good move because you can kind of nurse him a little bit coming into the lineup a little bit, and you're going to get good production once he gets his swing going. So, getting his timing down, I don't think it'll take him that long. And he's still fairly young. You only got to give him a year. But I don't think he wants to come back. He could have re-signed with the Mets. He could have taken that qualifying offer. He didn't do that. So, I don't know if I would do that now. But not too much talent now on the free agent list here. You'd have to make a trade. So I don't know. Comcast Blues are trying to get Conforto. He's not going to cost you a lot. I mean, Conforto's not going to cost you a lot. I mean, he basically destroyed his entire market. The Mets were willing to give him $100 million, last year before the season started, and he turned it down. They were going to give him $120 million, and he turned it down for 6 years. And the guy turned it down. How stupid is that? All right. The channel is called the Baseball Hut. Okay, and this guy D Garcia has been in here before to try to get at me. So goodbye. He did this the last time he was here. The channel says the Hut. Okay? Know where the hell you are on the internet. And you did this the last time coming in here. Calling me a different name of a different YouTuber. Okay? And you see my avatar. It says Hut. So obviously you're coming in here to cause trouble. I am not one that's a fool. So, you came in here the last time and was doing that bullshit. And I will not put up with that. I know people play games on the internet. So you're out of here. So you're out of here forever. That's disrespectful. And you come in here. The channel says the Baseball Hut on the screen. Okay? My name is not Rob. I take that's disrespectful. That's like going into The Godfather and calling Don Corleone Don Soprano. It's disrespectful. I find that disrespectful. And you did this the last time you were here. So you got under my case, you got under my skin, now you're gone. That's disrespectful. I am not like the other YouTubers. I will throw you out of here very quickly. Very, very quickly without thinking twice. But if you're going to be a wise ass to me, I'm going to throw you out of here. As simple as that. Hello, Garden State Gardener. See? He gets it right. Look at that. But again, if you're coming into the channel and it says the Baseball Hut, it says it twice on the screen. Okay? The guy Rob on his channel has his name in it. I don't have that here. What the hell, man? That's being a jerk. I'm gonna throw you out of here. I'll take that crap here. Anyway. Sorry if I offended anybody in the live stream. They want you to be nice when you do these live streams. I try my best, believe me. But I keep it very real here. There's nothing fake about the things I do here. You get real honest responses. It's like coming in here and calling me Wardy. Let's use him as an example. Or going into Wardy's chat and calling him the Hut. Why would you do that? To be a jerk. So you're out of here. Having a good time, having a good time talking. I'm having a good time talking about the Mets, and I think you're enjoying the discussion. You come in here, you insult me. Don't even have the respect to call me the Hut. It's disrespectful. So And I don't like fighting with anybody. I don't like fighting with anybody that comes in here and takes the time to watch. But he did that the last time, and I let it go. And I told him the last time that he's got the wrong channel. But obviously he's coming in here to be disruptive. Now here's the thing. We're at the end of the live stream. So the jerk came in here at the end of the live stream to say. So he probably was watching for a few minutes and then decided to come in here and insult your host. And then don't insult me. I'm not gonna put up with that. That's for sure. Game for war. You're getting a little nervous. It's okay, game for war. But you just want to be. You show respect. I show respect to the chat. I always do. And you come in here and you disrespect me. You disrespect, other people in the chat. I mean, it takes away from the chat. But at least this is the end of the chat. If he was going to be disruptive, he should have came at the beginning of the chat. I hate having to do that. I hate having to be like that. But you leave me no choice, by the way. And, of course, subscribe. Listen to Frank Matos. Subscribe and like the video. We've had a very solid live stream here. A lot of people in here are very happy with the time because, the weird time going on around 3 o'clock. It's great to have you all here to listen to me, go through the team and stuff. And I would mention this. If you subscribe to the other channel, which I had, which was the old combo cut, I will say I deleted it last night. 2 nights ago. I deleted 2 nights ago. And it was a very difficult decision on my part because I had that channel for 4 years, but it still had the same URL as it's called the Combo Cut. And it was very difficult to have to do that. I hated having to do that. I had that channel a long time. I had that brand and that name for a long time, and I didn't want to have to do that. So, it's been very disappointing. I've been trying to do different things. I'm always experimenting on YouTube. Even if I have other channels that I experiment with, and I try to do stuff different places and stuff. And I experimented a lot with that channel, and I burned myself. Got myself in a little trouble with YouTube. And I just decided that, instead of begging them to help me out, I just decided to just get rid of it, be done with it, and that's it. I did a lot of sort of complaining about books being late and all this stuff, and it just wasn't, the value of it wasn't great. And I would mention that I do still have this graphic novel that I will be putting out. It's finished, completely finished, but I'm not in a rush to post it and sell it yet. I'm actually working on the second book right now, but I'm not ready to sort of, because it's been very busy here with Christmas coming. I can't really worry about that right now, but it's done. I just have to upload it onto the site to sell it, and I'll let people know about when I get a chance. But I'm really not into the comics anymore, other than to do my own artwork and tell my stories. I'm really not. I don't even know how to promote it at this point. So Jersey Gret says this: I like this channel the most. Other channels go into unrealistic trades, signing conversations too much. I do my little clickbait, and I get people pissed off. The most pissed off video was the Scherzer video last year. But I was 2 weeks ahead of the curve when it came to everybody else. So I do my best. And then when you come in here and you ask me about this player or that player, I'll tell you if I think he's any good or if the Mets should trade for him. Most of the time I shoot it down. I am not a big fan of the player of the minute. Like, people will say, well, why didn't the Mets sign? No one has said to me, Adam Frazier. Why didn't the Mets sign Adam Frazier? No one has said that to me. But that's an example. A guy that just recently signed. Oh, here's something. Andrew Benintendi has agreed to sign with the White Sox. So he's with the White Sox. Ding, ding, ding. There's a little update, a little report. So he didn't sign with the Yankees. Wow. So he's gone to the White Sox. So we got a little news here while we're sitting here. 5 years at $75 million. That's a lot of shekels. I wouldn't go there. From Sledge 420, we need your town focused on the Mets. I've always been focused on the Mets. Here's the thing. With this chat, what I do I don't have, most of my friends, moved away. Most of my friends, they have families of their own. So I don't, and the people work, they don't talk about sports. Okay? People at my job, they don't talk about sports. So a lot of times, I have nowhere to put this focus as baseball. So when I do the baseball here, I have an audience that's willing to listen, and I'm able to talk about all these different things that I would talk about with friends. Game for War. I always like your channel because you sound like you got some testosterone in you, unlike the other soy Met commentators. Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I don't have soy in me, but I would calm down about the test. I actually have dragon blood, not crazy dragon blood like Kanye. Oh my God, Kanye. Oh, really? Wolfman says this, and I don't normally say this. I'm just reading this. I remember seeing people in the tight jacket guys stream badmouthing you, saying that Degrom wasn't leaving. But you were right on the button. Good call. So people in that live stream said that he wasn't leaving the Mets? Assholes. I'm always right. Very rarely am I wrong. Bad mouth of me saying that he wasn't leaving the Mets. I was saying for 2 years he was leaving. Really? Interesting. No. I mean, it's difficult to say that a player is leaving, especially a player of the caliber of him, and it wasn't money related. The Mets didn't want to give him 5 years because last year he wanted them to renegotiate his contract, and he wanted 5 years from the Mets, and the Mets were not willing to do that. The Mets basically told him they were going to give him a 3-year contract, and that's eventually what they gave him. So the Mets did the right thing. You can't give him a 5-year contract. They didn't want to give him a 5-year contract, which you can't blame them with all his interest. And I would mention that his physical came out pretty good from what was said. But the guy's always hurt. He's always having all these little nicks and aches and pains. And it's who needs that? I like doing the live streams, but I haven't been able to do a lot of live streams because I was sick. I had the flu for about 2 weeks, and then my blood pressure went up. I had to get that taken care of. But, I've not been feeling well. I wanted to do a live stream Thanksgiving night. I wanted to do a live stream. I wanted to do a live stream on Black Friday. I wanted to do a live stream that Saturday, that Sunday. And I just couldn't get at it. I just couldn't do it. I wasn't physically able to do it. But, I did a live stream 2 nights ago. I'm doing a live stream now. I didn't really want to, I've been wanting to be very busy here. But, because of my health, I've been sort of, not been able to do the things I wanted to do. But hopefully now everything's straightened out. I had a physical, everything's good. I can do more now on here and do these live streams. There won't be a live stream tomorrow, I would mention. I can't promise when there'll be live streams, but I can promise you when there won't be live streams. I mean, that's the best way I can say it. There won't be one tomorrow, And And of course, I wasn't here the night that Degrom signed with the Rangers. I wasn't here, so you didn't get a chance to see my first reaction about Degrom being here, not being back here. So that, it's a bit disappointing. You don't want to see a player that's been so great, here and then just leave. It's difficult to deal with that. Especially if you feel that. Especially if you feel that the guy's been a great player, and he's been a great player here. But there was obviously a problem here. I don't think he was happy with the city. Things have gotten worse here over the last 3 years, specifically since 2020. In terms of just the safety here, and I don't think he wanted his family around here. But I don't think he was too happy here, and I think some of the values that he has conflicts with some stuff that happens in this city. So I guess that was an issue with him, and again, I didn't think that he got along with the Coens. I mean, we know that the Coens have a good relationship with Pete. They have a good relationship with Lindor, and obviously with Edwin Diaz. But they had as far as I could tell, they had no relationship with Degrom. And that relationship, you can kind of sense it. And then I've had time to think about it. I think that was one of the other problems here, was that he really couldn't relate to them. And I think that's why he's gone now. I think if they had a relationship with him, he would have re-signed with the Mets without an issue, and he may not have opted out. And plus, he's so intent on leaving. Roberto Denise says, Benintendi to the White Sox 5 years. Yeah, I saw that. We saw that before. 5 years for $75 million. Alicante's being traded soon. Hence, who's Alicante? I don't think he wrote his name right. I don't know who you're talking about, though, Mothman. Alicante? I don't think that's the right name that you're talking about. Who is this? Who's this guy? Wolfman. Oh, Alcantara. Oh, really? Alcantara's going to get moved? Holy shit. Really? They said he wasn't getting moved. I tell you, that Kim Nang, she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. She's just there to push papers. Does she know what the hell she's doing, that lady down there? She's got all this this background that you would see on all these other guys that have had these jobs over the years. But I don't see anything different in the way she's running that ball club as men would if they were down there. So how is she so great down there? And I'm not going after her because she's a lady. I'm just saying. She's done nothing down there. Was she just a pencil pusher? Just pushing a paper pusher at this point? And how long is she going to have that job? And it's interesting that she was a general manager and Derek Jeter quit. She didn't quit. And he hired her. It says a lot about her own character, too. Really? Alcantara's getting moved. Now, where did you see that, Mothman? Because I have not heard that. Not heard anything about that. Where did you hear that? Even on Twitter, he puts the time glass. Oh, really? Really? So he thinks he's getting moved. Why would you move him? Are they going to get more pitchers on that team? Or I can't imagine the Mets making that kind of a deal. I can't imagine that. Let me look on Twitter. Now, please, of course, subscribe and like the video. And subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Well, that's weird. Okay. I don't see that. I mean, they said that he wasn't being moved a couple of weeks ago. So I'd be surprised if he got moved, Alcantara. I'd be shocked if he got moved. Where's he going to go? The Dodgers? You know? I can't imagine him going to the Mets. The Mets don't have enough talent to move to get him. And the Mets need offensive help. They don't need another pitcher in here. You know? Interesting. Would you be all in for him? What's all in? What are you talking? You have to give up Alvarez, I guess. What are they looking to get back? Because they don't seem to be all that wanting to bring in offensive help for that club. And if you're trading with him, if you're trading with them, that means they lost over 90 games in 22. Okay? They lost all these games in 22. They lost over 90 games with Don Mattingly as the manager there. And Mattingly's been a good manager. So you're already a bad team and you're trading your best player. How much worse are you going to be? If you're a person that follows that team down in Miami, why even bother invest in anything in the Marlins? Why do anything with them? You know, because it doesn't seem they know what the hell they're doing. I mean, if you're doing this kind of a move, and he's years away from any kind of like free agency, why even bother following them? That's why when the Mets go down there, they always outnumber all the fans down there. You know, well, the Mets fans, they always outnumber them down there. That's crazy. Alcantara getting moved? Maybe the Rangers could move pieces there. They could give them some pitching help. Give them Jack Leiter or Kumar Rocker for Alcantara in some kind of package. Hansel says Marlins are a farm system team. Produce players to trade them away. Well, the thing is, they've produced very little position players with that team. That's why the team is so bad. They're so unbalanced as a team. You know, I don't know what you could get for Alcantara that would be of any like equal value for him. With Lopez, you could probably get more value for him than if you trade Alcantara. I mean, Alcantara's such a good pitcher. You know, and he's a horse. This guy's a horse. Or my friend Cessa would say a horse. He's a horse, you know. So I don't, that's a very strange kind of move. Why would you move him? Especially after they said, well, we're not moving. If you're moving him, then guys like Lopez are going to get moved too. They're basically going to break that team apart again after they brought in all this talent, after they traded the talent the last time around. It's so stupid. What the hell are they doing down there? There are certain places that shouldn't have teams now. I mean, the more I get older and I look at this stuff, no team should be in Florida. The Marlins should get the hell out of there, and the Rays should leave. And the A's should leave too. If there's 3 teams that need to move, those 3 teams need to move to markets that are more conducive to baseball. Some teams should go to Vegas. That's one place that they should put a team in. Okay, and I think that's what's going to happen with the A's. By the way, they're going to move to Vegas at some point, like the Raiders did. You know, there's some place that just cannot support teams. Oakland can't support a team, Tampa can't support a team, and Miami can't support a baseball team. It's just they've shown it time and again. Years they've been showing for 30 years they've not been able to support that Miami team. That team down there, they cannot support them. And then when the team is good, they break the team up right away. They can't wait to move everybody. They've had great players. They had Miguel Cabrera down there, and they moved them. They traded them. And the guys they brought in weren't anything close to value for them. You know, I mean, we've complained a lot about the Mets and how they've been run. But just think about some of these places that are a disaster. I mean, you know, Oakland's been a disaster. You know, there's no fan base there because the fans are so disgruntled out there. You know, and then you see Tampa. They don't get 2 flying you know whats to the Rays. They really don't. and they're in this bad stadium. The only good thing about them being down in Florida is at least they're indoors. Unlike back in the day when they had to play outside, But man, if they moved that contract, that'd be crazy. Why would you do that? That's basically the middle finger to your fan base. You have this great pitcher and you move him. You can't wait to move the guy. Also, this deal that the Yankees lost down in Benintendi, if you didn't know that. The White Sox signed Andrew Benintendi to a 5-year, $75 million deal. This is the largest free agent deal in the history of the White Sox. And they couldn't re-sign Jose Abreu. So the Yankees got outbid for Benintendi. Don't tell me the Yankees are having a good offseason, by the way, especially when they haven't improved that offense. But we know the Mets, I would mention this, the Mets haven't improved that team either. They're still at 101 wins, but they need to get a little more help. They need another bat in their lineup, and they need some relief help. Get another reliever in here. You don't have to spend a lot on the next guy. It seems like the Blue Jays announced Chris Bassett up there. But the Yankees, they lost on Benintendi. At least they get a draft pick. But interesting. Let's see what else we got here. I think that's pretty much it. AKA Slayer 101. What's up, Hut? What's up? We've been talking about James McCann possibly getting traded, and Carlos Carrasco possibly getting traded. There's been a team named with McCann. This was mentioned in an interview on MLB Network Radio. From Mothman Evolved. I just read Mets should trade Lindor. Some insiders are so ignorant. Some of the articles I read are atrocious, taking shots at Buck and stuff ridiculous. Look, I don't know what that's about. Lindor has proven that he could play here after the year that he had last year. And considering how poorly he played in 21 and how it seemed completely overwhelmed by being in New York, he's fine. And I thought his arm was really good. Even though he got off to a very slow start with his throws. AKA Slayer 101. I hope we can trade McCann. I wonder what the Mets can get in return. Well, we'll see. Maybe they're going to have to take it back. I mean, if they trade him to the Pirates, they don't really have much in terms of bad contracts there. That's probably the number one thing the Mets would have to do, or they would take some of the money back. The Pirates are about 2 years away from being, a contender again, or being decent again. Maybe you pick up one of their. Let's see. Maybe you pick up one of their relievers, or you take back bad money. They don't really have a bad contract on their team. They don't have much on the Major League roster. So if the Mets were to make that kind of a move, let me see. I'm just going to go through some guys here. It's very difficult to project and go through teams that are bad, especially with their pitching staffs. I know that there's been word that that David Bednar has been on the trade market, but I don't see him getting moved. At least not to the Mets, and he's been a bit of a closer. I don't see that happening. I mean, you're going to have to take back a bad contract with the Pirates, just to use the Pirates as an example. Just go through some of McCann's market. There's a lot of teams that are looking for catchers. The Rangers, the Diamondbacks, the Cubs, the Astros, the Giants, the Padres, the Tigers, the Rays, the Angels, Miami, which I don't see, and Boston. You're gonna have to if you're gonna trade James McCann, you're either gonna have to take back bad money to get a decent player or take back a bad contract. The Pirates don't have anybody that the Mets would have to eat some of the money to move him to Pittsburgh. Arizona has bad money, but do you want Madison Bumgarner here? I don't know. That means you'd have to move Carrasco. And I think he'd be taking back more money with Bumgarner, right? And I mean the Rangers, you could move him to McCann to the Rangers, and they'll take the money, but you're gonna have to take a bad contract back. What do they have down there? They don't have anything. This is like a real potpourri of teams here. You got some bad teams and some good teams in this mix, so it depends on the teams. Game 4. I'm scared about them trading Carrasco. I'm not a fan of his, but Senga isn't a starter. MLB scouts think he might be a starter. He only started over 10 games, won, and never had more than 100. Oh, we'll see. We're going to find out. Mets seem to be pretty confident in it, but he has not finished his physical. So who knows? We'll find out pretty quickly. We'll find out before we know it. And let me just do a couple things here. And again, please like this video and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. And of course, you can always write to me after the live stream in the comments section. Mothman says Alex Ramirez has risen on the prospect list. Yes, he has. He had a good year this past year. Be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, the Mets have a good farm system. It's gotten better. But the pitching is 2-3 years away. The offensive players are closer. Obviously, they called a lot of them up this past year. Beatty, Vientos, Alvarez. Mauricio is a little behind them. Jett Williams is years away. Parada's years away, but he might be a fast, riser to the system. He might go through the system very quickly because of his bat. So the Met farm system has really improved from a year ago and really from 2 years ago. They were at the bottom 2 years ago. Now it's really skyrocketed very quickly, and they expect another big draft this coming year in July. Well, Mets are in good shape with the farm system. It's gotten much better. So I'm pretty confident about the farm system. That's why, Mets should not be any rush to break them up and to move pieces out of here. There's no rush to move any of these guys for Ohtani. Just wait for Ohtani to become a free agent or Divas to become a free agent. I mean, they were smart not to move any of these guys for, say, guys like Wilson Contreras, That made no sense, looking back on it. They tried to make moves on the fringes with the prospects, and some of them worked out, some of them didn't work out. I know people weren't too happy about Vogelbach getting moved for Holderman, but Holderman didn't pitch much after they moved him in July, and Vogelbach had some very productive at bats, and Vogelbach, if you look at him, he actually had some very good at bats against the Braves, and he had some good at bats against the Padres. Jersey Grit says 7 picks before the 5th round in this next draft. Yeah, they're gonna have a good draft. I mean, I expect some good things here. It's not a situation from the past. In the past we've seen the team not knowing what they're doing. Obviously, with the Wilpons. So Wilpons, Jeff Wilpon was a meddler, and he thought he knew everything because he played in the minor leagues. He thought he knew stuff. He didn't know anything. He's a dope, and I don't miss him, and I don't miss his father here. So we can thank Saul Katz's family because really that's the reason why the team was sold. Because Saul Katz's family didn't want to be part of this. They didn't want to spend time with Jeff, and he's their cousin. They didn't want to help run the ball club because Katz was retiring. So, that's really what happened here. So things are really good here. I mean, there's really not a lot to sort of complain about. 2 years ago it was a little rough, but really this is a good situation we're all in now. And people have been right. The Mets are one of the big market teams. No, they're the big market team in baseball. The big market team. And it shows. But meanwhile, the Yankees spent more money than the Mets. Nobody talks about it, of course. They'll talk about the Mets, how many, because the Mets brought in more players. All players they need to bring back. Well, see if any more. And also, Joey Gallo signed with the Twins. On not a very lucrative contract, $11 million for 1 year. But, so this was a good live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, there's not going to be a live stream tomorrow. Maybe one Sunday, maybe during the afternoon. But obviously, I compete against the football, so that's another scenario. Maybe I could do a live stream on the football. Maybe I could do that. I haven't done anything on there. And I would mention this about the football hut. Maybe I'll put a link into the football hut. I haven't done much there, but I would appreciate if you sub to it. I haven't done much on there. Because I've been watching the games. I put the link into the video, into the chat. And I hope that you subscribe to the football channel, to the football hut. It'll say baseball hut too, but it's really the football hut. So please subscribe to the football hut. Oh, okay. It says football hut. So I hope that you subscribe to the football hut. I have not done a lot of content on there because I've been busy doing this and I've been watching the games. I'm trying to sort of get back into the game, which is not an issue, but obviously I don't know the players like I used to. I've gotten better at the players with the Giants and really just overall Major League Baseball. So if you would, please go and subscribe to the football hut. This used to be the old baseball hut too, but I retrofitted it. I've done a lot of shorts on there, and I've done some content videos. So if you go over there and sub, I would appreciate it. I have the 4,000 hours for the monetization. I need to get 1,000 subs to get to make some money off the channel. I expect to really do a lot of work with it. Probably in April, probably March, April, because then we'll talk a lot about the draft with the Giants and the NFL. Obviously, there's no college football. I was doing college football videos. They were doing pretty good, But then I really don't know much about Alabama football, and there's no college football in December. There's no more games. They played in September, October, and November. But they ain't playing in December. And they start playing again at the end of the month, and then they play in the beginning, at the very beginning and the middle of January because they play all the bowl games. But if you would, please subscribe to the Football Hut. I'm going to have a lot of stuff up there in the new year. The Giants are fighting for their playoff lives. They're 7-5-1. They had this one tie against the Commanders a few weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago. Now they're playing the Commanders again in Washington. And it would be nice if the Giants made postseason. They haven't made postseason in a long time. It seems that Odell Beckham Jr. is probably going to sign with the Cowboys, which I don't have a problem with. I don't want him here. I want him back with the Giants. But if you go there and sub, I would appreciate it a lot. And I will have content there at some point over the next couple of weeks and months and stuff. And I'll probably go over their season. If they don't make postseason, or even if they do make postseason, I'll have a lot of stuff on them if I can do it. I'm very busy with my job. It makes it kind of difficult for me to sort of balance certain things out and do the way things I want to do it. But so that's my little pitch for the Football Hut. I should probably promote it more on here. I don't know. So thank you for watching. We'll end the live stream here. I appreciate the almost 2 hours we spent talking about the Mets. If there's a move later, there'll be a video up. Again, no live stream tomorrow. I always promise. I've been making promises of when there'll be live streams up, but I'm going to just say I'll tell you when live streams won't be up. There won't be a live stream tomorrow, and maybe one on Sunday, and maybe one on Monday. Say Monday night. I don't know about Tuesday. I might go out with my friend. I got to talk to her, see what's going on, and I should be back doing a real good live stream in a few hours, probably next Wednesday. I don't know yet. I should know more tomorrow. But I want to thank you all for coming by. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. If anything new with the Mets comes up, maybe there'll be a video up later. Who knows? Who knows what the hell I feel like doing at this point. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Have a good day. Sayonara. Arrivederci. Have a good day. Thank you very much. I like it here.